Hello! For today I have a sketchbook tour. Yay! Finally have enough pages to show you what I have been working on my big sketchbook, and I will also show you some bits and pieces of another smaller sketchbook. And if you are interested in hearing more about my big cheap sketchbook, I will make some comments at the end of this video because some of you have asked me about that. And the sketchbook tour will be with me talking. So if you are not interested in that, I will be posting another video where you can see a flip through the sketchbook just with music. So that is that, and I will also show you the big flower bed painting that I did with acrylics that I have only showed on my Instagram. And yeah, that is that. I hope you enjoy this video, and I will catch up with you at the end of this video. Many of the sketches in this sketchbook you have already seen. I have shown them, but now you can see them all together. So here's this very first sketch that I did in something called Hockney-inspired. Is a little bit north from where I live, about an hour or so from here. It's from the coast, the sea is over here, and there's a nice little lighthouse. I made this with watercolors. Then I did this one. This one is of my kitchen garden. Here's the entrance to my kitchen garden, and it was in spring with everything was very green. I put a lot of flowers in the kitchen garden, so I like that. And this is not the style that I usually work in, but I have been researching and looking after ways to saying things, and this is inspired in a book that I bought from David Hockney, another artist from England. He has a very special style, and I wanted to let myself inspire by his art, and I did this. I'm always talking about not making dots, so I thought, what if I try to make the dots these little pointy things and use them instead. So I tried this. Then I will show you something in my other sketchbook. I did this one also with some leftovers of wash, and this is a flower bed from my garden too. I was trying things out with my pochette box in my garden the first time, so this is what came out of that. And yes, also inspired by David Hockney. So I got back to my big sketchbook, and next thing I did is this. This is a flower from my garden. This was from also July. It was a very, very hot day, and me and my daughter, we got out, took all our art supplies out and did some sketches from our garden. So this is very, very quick, as I also wanted to help her. This one is from a trip that I made with my husband. He likes to drive, and so this time I got out with him, and we have an electric car that has to be charged once in a while when we are out driving. So there's a place where he can charge the car, and I found a little place to sit down and make some quick sketches. I think about 20 minutes or so this one took me. And this is made with a little set of watercolor pencils that I actually don't like, but I thought maybe to try them at that time. The next one here is made with gouache, and it is also from my garden. And yeah, here I went with the dots, and when by dots I meaning painting a lot of leaves in different colors. What I like here is how the sky back here turned out. I like the color of the sky and also like the clouds. I think I could have worked better with the greens. It's a huge mess of greens, but it also looked like that. It was in August, 8th of August that I made this, and we have a, I don't know the name of this, where you can lay under the trees, and here back I have a part of my kitchen garden too, with some squash plants here, and I have some potatoes back here, but you cannot see anything. It was also a very, very bright day, so it was very difficult to see which greens was from what. It was a great experience. There was some apples on the tree too. It's an apple tree and a plum tree that we are very happy to have. Yeah, it was a great experience and a great memory now that the weather is changing. Next one is also from the same trip that I took with my husband, and this is from a lake called Tisø. Here we have the fields that had which was actually a lot of this yellowish fields all over the place. Here in the back there were more hills and a lot of small forests, and there was some houses and a small city here. I don't know how long this took me, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. I haven't written that down. Would be a good idea to do. It was a lovely day. We went out with coffee and some cookies and stuff and had a relaxed day. This is from the same day. Going back home, we had to charge the car again. So this is a 20 minutes sketch. Was from beside the, how do you say, charger machine. So there was some bushes and weeds and stuff that I painted, and a small tree. Next one, this you have maybe already seen. I have a video where I talked about this sketch, and I will leave a link so you can here on the screen so you can watch it. This one was started on location. Also, it's of a lake, and it's a little park that you can go and visit. You can actually walk around the lake. But this day we just sat down here. It was very windy. I started with the background. I sketched the whole composition, and then I took a picture and finished it back home, and that is what you can see in the video. I really like this one. As I mentioned in the video, I think this tree should have been a little bit more to this side, so there's a little bit more of the view here, but other than that, I really enjoyed working with this landscape. Next one. Earlier this year I had bought some acrylics, and I hadn't used them much when I did this one, so this was an attempt to see how I could make a landscape with the acrylics. And if I had to say something, I think I used too much white here in the back. I should have mixed light colors, but with wash I am used to sometimes just mix the colors on the paper, and that didn't work so well with acrylics as they dry very quick and you cannot reactivate them again. So that is why there's a layer of white on top here. There's also a video where you can watch how I paint this one. This is a totally, let me put this here. This is something completely different. I am on Emma Carlisle's Patreon, and she has some Zoom meetings where you can meet with other illustrators and artists and paint together with them. These birds where each one took 2 minutes. We had only 2 minutes to sketch them, and I painted them with wash, thinking that I had time enough. But when you work with wash, you also have to count with some time to dry, and I should know that. This didn't really turn out well, but the other ones are okay. Next one, a new attempt on working with acrylics. and I like this one much more. I didn't use so much white. I mixed the colors on my plate instead of using the paper, putting directly on paper. Also a coastal landscape, and this one is also from October. This one you have already seen, maybe. If you haven't, I will leave a link to this one too, where I paint this. This is one of my favorites, I think. And this one I started laying the base colors first, but then I started working with these things that are most near us. And then I worked on the sea behind, carving it into the trees and the bushes here. And I like that effect that gave to the painting. And I also love the movement that this one has. This one is also a painting that I did on location. One other day that we went out with my husband with coffee and cookies, and he went around taking photos and enjoying himself, I hope so. And I sat down in a bench and did this sketch. And I really, really like this one. It was also a very windy day and a very moody day. There was clouds, rain clouds all over the place. And so I was really in a hurry to finish this one. The sun was changing all the time. I wished I had captured that better, because sometimes the sun would hit this place and make it a lot more brighter and saturated in the colors. Being outside with the weather and the wind and everything like that, it's not so easy. So that is something that I'm trying to work with more. The only thing that I did here at home were some details here in the windows, the frames in the windows, because I didn't have a small brush with me when I was outside, and I didn't have time to do that either. And what more? And I actually finished this just about some drops, just before some drops starting to fall. And this one is a raindrop, actually. I don't know if the camera can capture it, but yeah, a very fun little sketch. I did enjoy this one from the 11th of September. Next one, I did this one from a photo, also a photo taken by my husband in one of his trips. And in this one I wanted to try out to combine one other medium that I have worked with a lot, and I have a lot of color pencils from when I work with my realistic style and with color pencils and watercolors. So I thought, what would happen if I use some color pencils to make all these grasses? So everything is done with wash, and except for these marks here, I wanted to give this impression of something, of wind and dry grass and green grass and all the movement. And there was this must be a spring photo, because this bush had a lot of white flowers and the sun was hitting the top, but the lower part of it was in shadow. So I tried to paint that. This one is from the 12th of September, so I have been very productive. I think that is all about this one. And this one makes me happy. I like it a lot. This one it's also on video. You can find a video where I paint this one, which is made with my old Neo pastels. I think they were 30 or 35 years old, and they worked like they were bought yesterday. But it's a small palette, so I'm actually very happy about how much I could get into this, how much variation I got into this painting or sketch. And I think this took me about an hour, maybe a little more, I don't know. This one is from the 13th of September. Next one, I have also made a video of, with this one, or part of me painting this one. This was also painted on location. I will leave a link to that video as well. On a very, very, sounds so dramatic, so to say extreme weather, but it was quite rough, the wind, because I was on a bird side tower. Can you see that? Where I was very exposed to the wind, so I couldn't film the whole thing. And it's not super pretty, but I'm enjoying a lot painting outside because my compositions change a lot. They look more playful, more spontaneous, and something happens with the way I draw the composition and how I approach the perspective. I think I don't make the things in the right proportions, and I am embracing that instead of trying to make it more realistic. For example, this church did look much smaller, but because I didn't have small brushes, and I also want to work quick. Gouache is drying very, very fast, especially in that wind. So this is how my sketches end up looking, and I like this. This one is from yesterday, so it's really new. This one is also from a picture. It's painted here at the studio, from one of these photos taken by my husband again. And here I try to apply that looseness that I have when I am out painting. So I exaggerated some things and I didn't care too much about the proportions, but I can still see that I painted this from a photo and not from or painting outside. But I like this one. I don't know if you can see the small cows that I painted here. Yeah, and there's a little house. I don't know how much that comes through. Also a very cloudy, moody day. This one is totally different from from the rest of the things that I have done in the sketchbook. It's also a Emma Carlisle Zoom meeting, sketching together meeting. It's her mom picking plums from a tree, and it was a 10 minutes sketch. The session did continue, but I was not in the mood to draw people and hands and things like that. After this one, we had to paint hands, but I stopped here. I am much more in the mood of making landscapes. This one I have painted today. It's also a very moody sky. It's painted from a reference image also taken by my husband. Also, I think this is an early spring image. And I wanted to try something smaller, so I went half size to see what happened and how I have felt about that. And I'm not especially pleased with this one. Maybe it's because today I am a little bit tired. That can be one reason. And yes, maybe also getting a little bit tired of working with gouache. But anyways, this is what came out of that, and that is the last one in this big sketchbook. So and in this small one, this one I talked about before is a very small one, an expensive sketchbook. It has not worked well for me with watercolors. That's why one of the reasons that I haven't used it so much. And the other reason is because it is so expensive. So I want to make pretty things in it, and that is not the purpose for sketchbooks, if you ask me. I had a lot of pages in between that were, so I used some of them to make small sketches. So here's one. I did this one in July, and it's also from a reference image from my husband of a poppies field with wildflowers and poppies and some bushes or trees in the back. So here I wanted to see how I could make it with more cold colors and here with more warmer colors. So that is basically the difference between these two. I made them at the same time. I wanted to try that out. I think what I'm trying to figure out is how to capture a landscape or a subject when you are outside, and how to approach warm colors and warm colors, how to approach shadows and parts that I have a lot of light. Normally I don't use black. Here I wanted to see what happened if I used black without mixing it with anything. So yeah, I think that is the last. I only have two things that I wanted to show you from this one. So if you are interested in seeing some of my old sketchbook, let me know. I have 2 or 3 of these, and I could make a sketchbook tour of those, but just be aware that I have a lot of different things in them. This one is, I started this one in 2018 and I have still not finished it, so there are some big jumps in time in these, and therefore also in the style. So that was my little sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I have done in these ones. Now you can see the illusion of the pretty table. They just went away. Have this wood thing that I have made to take photos on. Well, yes, now you know that. But I promised one of you to show the finished piece of this painting of my flower bed. Here it is. So this is from the early summer picture that I took from my garden. And here I wanted to apply all the things that I have learned lately about painting looser and some other things. So this is how that turned out. And take a closer look. I have only made some Instagram reels with this. So here's the final piece. This one I will keep it for myself because it has a lot of memories. This is the second summer that we have in this house. So this flower bed is totally new. So I'm pretty happy with it. And we have enjoyed it a lot during summer. So yeah, I hope you like it too. The big cheap sketchbook is this one that I have talked about. Some of you have asked me where I bought it and which brand it is, and it has no brand. It says nothing on it, and I bought it in a shop here in Denmark that I don't know if it has shops in other parts of the world, but they have a website, and I will leave the link to this sketchbook here down in the description. So if you want to buy it, you know where to find it. It did cost 10 euros, so I think it's quite cheap for the amount of pages. I have no idea how many pages there are in this sketchbooks. Is FSC certified paper. That is the only thing that I can see here, and it's very thin, and it's very difficult to show paper through a screen. Yeah, as you can see, there's it has an enormous amount of pages if you compare with other more expensive sketchbooks. I use it for all the different materials that I have. As you saw in my sketchbook tour, I have used watercolor in it, I have used gouache, I have used acrylics, I have mixed some media, and it has taken it without any problem. I would recommend a sketchbook for drawing. For example, if you want to improve your drawing skills, that this one would be nice for that. I will also recommend it if you already know your materials and you just want to have a place where you can sketch some ideas or try some things out. I will not recommend it for as a watercolor sketchbook. It takes gouache okay, and acrylics, it works perfectly. It does sparkle when you paint on it, and yeah, I have no problem with that, because this is just a place when I can experiment with new things, not so much how materials work, new materials, but the materials that I know, and I can, yeah, it's more about, for me, it's more about finding a new way of saying things, different ways of approaching painting and stuff like that. So for me, it's okay. I want to say, if you want to paint with gouache, it takes it very well. There's only one little thing that I am guessing many of you wouldn't like, and it is that when you work with water, wash with a lot of water, I don't know how to describe it, but some of the paper gets left of the paper, so you have these clumps of paper laying around. What I do is just to work as they weren't there, and then when everything dries up, I can just with my finger remove them, and yeah, that is okay with me. I cannot take everything away, but it's good enough for me to, yeah, for what the purpose that I am working on in this sketchbook. So that is what I wanted to say. So yeah, I don't want you to buy it and have some expectations and then receive something that you wouldn't like to use. So I hope this is helpful. I hope that you liked the work that I have showed you today. Please let me know which one was your favorite. And other than that, I will catch up with you in the next one.